Welcome to the Transitions tutorial. We will be looking at various types of transitions that students may experience while in school. Our lives are full of transitions. Some of these may include leaving home, getting married, going to school, or losing someone close to you. Take a few minutes to think about some of the transitions you've experienced and how you have felt about them. What were some of the challenges? Our students experience change when entering the school system, as well as changing grades or classes, which may involve new teachers, new classmates, or a new assistant. Students also experience change when moving to a new school, such as elementary to high school. Often, transitioning to adulthood may be one of the biggest changes that students experience while at school. Communication needs to occur early between preschools and school teams in order to ensure that students with special needs have the supports in place for their new learning environment. Areas to explore may include training for mealtime needs, positioning, or exercise programs. Assessments may need to be forwarded around vision, hearing, cognitive, communication, and physical areas. Accommodations to the building may need to occur, such as ramps, hydraulic lifts, or adapted bathroom equipment. When transitioning to a new classroom, receiving teachers need to know the skills that a student on a modified program will be working on. A personal dictionary is important to share with the new teacher if the student is not verbal. A video or schedule of activities from the previous year can also be a good visual guide for the receiving teacher. Where possible, it is helpful for the existing teacher to meet with the receiving teacher before the transition occurs to address questions. Students experience transitions to new schools when moving to a new location or when moving into either a middle school or a high school. This usually involves a lot of change for students. Many schools facilitate multiple visits to the receiving school to help the student desensitize to the new sounds, people, and activity level. Schools need to receive clear IEP objectives that reflect up-to-date data collection so that they have a baseline to work with. Many families report that the transition process needs to start earlier, with navigational support needed from school and adult community services. A cognitive assessment should be addressed early on in this process to avoid wait lists, as funding for adult services cannot be initiated until the eligibility has been established by a qualified psychologist. For example, the 319 code that indicates a student is untestable due to cognitive level. High school resource teachers need to take an active role in creating tools that will help provide a smooth transition for students and their families. Let's take a look at several steps that can help both teachers and families in this process. Teachers can assist families by helping to locate local community activities that are a match for the students' motivators. These activities should be woven into the curriculum during the last few years of school. Teachers and families can see what others are doing by viewing the video on the PISP website called Transition to Adulthood. Teachers can also help connect families with similar young adults who have already transitioned. Once you have some ideas to what the future could look like, it is important to do some dreaming and planning around this and put it on paper. PATH, Planning Alternative Tomorrows of Hope, is one example of a transition tool that some schools and community services use to get more detailed information about where the student is headed and what needs to be done in the meantime. You can view some samples and guidelines on the PISP website. This should be completed early on to allow time to follow through on the actions, for example, around grade 10. Teachers can build a social calendar or community activity matrix for students that reflects activities where students can continue to practice their skills as lifelong learners. Building this social network is very reassuring for both parents and students when leaving the school setting. Ideally, these community activities should be experienced increasingly by the student as part of the curriculum in the last few years of school, with the goal being 80% participation in the community by grade 12. This means teachers need to schedule in participation at local recreation centers and places of business and arrange for transportation during the school day. Check with parents to make sure that the activities also fit with the interests of the family, so that there is commitment to follow through on the activities after leaving school. Teachers may need to arrange meetings to help connect families with CLBC, local adult day programs, KAYA, Communication Assistance for Youth and Adults, and adult services. The PATH can help provide ideas for a plan that needs to be submitted to adult services in order to access funding for an adult worker. Also, check out the BC Ministry of Children and Family Development's website link called Into Adulthood. Let's take a look at a few tools that have been created and used by various resource teachers throughout BC in order to help provide valuable information for group homes, adult day programs, and adult respite workers. As caregivers change in the student's adult life, how will they know about your student's skills? How can you ensure that they will know how your student communicates? A personal communication dictionary can be made visible on a communication device, hanging on a wheelchair, posted beside the individual's bed, or placed in a day planner. Here is another tool, a day planner that was created by a teacher to include her student's personal dictionary, preferences or motivators, medical alerts, small picture communication boards, and a script to indicate how this person makes choices. This teacher created these planners for each of her students before transitioning to adulthood as an information tool. Another tool involves teachers helping to organize and structure a social network of people and activities around the student that will carry into adult life. Inclusion Press has referred to this concept as the Friends of Club. Friends, neighbors, and extended family might volunteer to be included in a schedule that can include routines, chores, recreation, and leisure activities. A monthly email can keep everyone on the schedule informed of changes. Leisure inventories can be very helpful to both families and adult respite workers. By using a search engine such as Google to type in the location, the student's motivator, and any other information such as wheelchair accessible, a list of activities and locations can be created for families and adult workers, as we can see here. Tools that are concrete and visual are very reassuring for families. Teachers need to make sure they contact KAYA early on in the last year of school to ensure that students will be able to continue to have access to their communication and access equipment, such as a switch, voice output device, an iPad, or a power link. You can find them by Googling kaya.org. For more resources and tools, check out the PISP website. There is an entire section on transitions in the strategy section with handouts of some of the tools we've looked at here. You can also find samples and guidelines of various planning tools such as PATH and Pathways in the strategy section under Program Planning. Teachers can make a tremendous difference for their students by facilitating meetings between families and adult services and creating meaningful tools for a more seamless transition to adulthood. This video has been produced for the Provincial Integration Support Program, funded by the BC Ministry of Education.